That is a plate. Avo. Come on. It's navy. It's navy. Tell me the last time you've seen a navy plate. Check it out. Whoa. So here's the board. Green. It's FR4less, so you do have the numpad right here with separated arrow keys. I'm guessing these are LED indicators. You can see there's a nice lip right here. This is a very nice dark green. Here's what it looks like in bright light, and here's what it looks like in the shadows. You have the arrows that are separated. The one thing to note is that there's no sharp corners. All the corners around the board are very soft and curved. It looks like there is this internal weight of some sort. Here's the side. Oh, so here you can see there's a gap in the seam, but once again, no sharp corners. So whenever I talk about the sides, you see multiple different variations. So you see keyboards where you can see like the seam, so whenever the top and bottom piece meet and you can see where they meet. Sometimes you'll see like the top piece covering the entire bottom piece, so you can't actually tell, and then there's vice versa where the bottom piece will cover the top piece. It just really depends. But here you see the seam, but it's very on purpose that they've left a gap in between like that. This seems like a really low typing angle as well, just based on like looking at the side, but we'll see. Here's the back. Whoa. So you got 4 rectangular feet. You do have this cut out right here. I'm pretty sure on the product page I saw that there was like a sticker you could put here. It has 4 screws on top, 4 screws on the bottom. And then looking at the USB port. Whoa. What the heck? Nani? Okay, so you have this centered USB port, but you got 2 additional ports right here. So it looks like this is also a USB hub built into the keyboard. Whoa. And then you do see the branding right here. There's a AKB branding right here. And then here's the lip. Let's take the board apart and just check it out. I'll show out the internals and everything. So looking at the top piece, you can see that this indicator part right here is actually like a separate like little PCB of its own with a little cable that's been secured by 2 screws. Okay, so this is a pretty thin weight. Apparently it's supposed to be brass. You have this JST, which functions as the main daughter board for this one, for the hub, and it's also the main USB port for the board. So here you can see this cable goes to the PCB, and then right here is where you have the USB, and then this big cable goes into this separate USB hub breakout. You would just plug it in like this, and then here you have your USB ports. Apparently it's 2.0, so not 3.0, but so your main port is going to be in the middle, and then your side port is going to be on the side. So in terms of changes, as we go through them, as we're building, there are some things that are going to be different from the prototype versus the group by units. First thing to note is that the Molex cable connecting daughterboard to PCB is too short. You can use it, it's difficult. Final cable will be longer. And then the Molex cable connecting the PCB to RGB daughterboard is a bit too long. You know, earlier I said that you needed to screw this on through the top. So that's still true, but you can screw it on from right here. And then these cutouts for the holes, they're bigger. So you can actually just like put it over like that. You don't actually need to like align it through the top. You can still screw it on from like the bottom like this, so you don't have to worry about aligning it. And then the cover just like goes over it. So the internal weight has misaligned holes, but that will be fixed in production. But looking at the bottom case, aside from this internal weight, right? Here you can see that there are like the cutouts for the gaskets. So you can actually place your gaskets where you'd want to. So I guess that's what happened here. You have 3 on top. You have 3 on the bottom. Looking at the plate and the foam, these are actually, yeah, these are for gaskets. They just weren't put onto the case. So looking at the PCB, so this one is the hot swap variation, but you do have a solder. So you have 2 buttons for reset or reboot. No LEDs, no indicators that I see. The For the hot swap, you can either do 6U centered only, 6.25 bottom row. So it's not 6.25 and 7U. Okay, it's 6U or 6.25. You'll have fuller split backspace, and then you'll also have fuller step caps. And then you can do fuller split numpad mods or split and full numpad enter. But I'm guessing because this is the prototype PCB, that's why there's only one caps lock at the moment. For solder, you have 6U that you can either do centered or off-centered. For the hot swap, you can only do 6U centered stem. And then for solder, you can also do 6.25 or 7U. Split full backspace, you can do ISO on C, step full caps, full split, mods, and enter for the numpad. You have a lot more options with the solder PCB. But then let's look at the plate. Whoa. Whoa. It's a nice navy plate. I feel like I never see navy plates. From the plate, you can see all the gasket tabs. So you have the 3 on top, the 3 on the bottom, and then the 2 on the side. Here you can see this is the cutout for the LED indicators that you see right here. No flex cuts other than right here. You have this like relief cut for the spacebar, I'm assuming. But everything is pretty standard. So this is also just like a prototype plate, because I was going to point out that this will be fixed. This will have the split compatibility later on. For the plates, you'll have PC, FR4, Alu, and carbon fiber. So 4 different plate options. So you can pick whether you want the solder or hot swap PCB, but then default you'll get an Alu plate. And they'll actually be including the 6U stab wire in case you decide to go with that. You do it if you bring your dad with you, Patricia? Probably. John really likes my dad. My dad really likes John. He got picked up and he was like, dang! You got a nice car. My dad just like shameless. So let's talk about it. This is the Petrichor. It's actually in group buy right now until July 15th. It starts at $230. This is the Verdant color, but they also have Onyx, Verdant, Woad, Fool's Gold, Key Beige, Rubio, Luna, and the Dolce. So 8 colors. And then you can get this in Wintkey, or you can get this in HHKB. The PCB options, you have solder and hot swap. And then for the plates, it comes with Alu default, but you can get PC, FR4, or carbon fiber. I think this layout is very clean. We've been seeing a lot more effortless numpads, so it's neat to see another one. It has a typing degree of 8, but the front angle is actually 20. But that's the board. It's not very heavy. It's not as heavy as other boards. I personally thought that the board actually sounded better with foam. It sounded like a bit more even, like the resonance was like more consistent throughout the board. But like I said, this is my personal thoughts, and then it could have been my build, could have been my plate, but I did prefer this plate with foam. And then the other neat thing is that for the gaskets, you can actually place them where you want to. Even if this board, quote, didn't sound good, I would still buy it just for this. I don't want to say this is like novelty, but this is something you don't see often, the USB hub. And this could be really convenient. I think my only gripe about it is that it's not 3.0, but that might be like a power issue. It would have been neat if it was 3.0, but it's not a big deal that it's not. That's like the only thing I wish it was. But the fact that it's there in itself is cool. And plus, with all the gaskets, you can really customize this to however you'd like. My only thing is that when you put the top piece onto the bottom piece, right? So you see the walls on this top piece, how it slightly sticks out. This basically helps you align to the bottom case, and you look right here, this has been machined out, so the top piece will actually fit over this. But here's the thing, is that because you have gaskets on gaskets on gaskets, whenever you place the PCB in, using the top case to kind of align with the bottom case becomes a little bit harder because you have to like squish the board down. So this alignment is actually a little loose with like the case, but then when you have something else that you have to like compress down, it does make it a bit harder. Not too much harder, but that's like the only thing. That's a non-issue. That it's just like use the top case to align with the bottom case, and you do have to like compress it depending on how you place your gaskets. But they've thought about that if there's too much compression, because then they place the cuts in the plate, right? In case you do decide to put gaskets on gaskets. This is how the designer intends the default gasket to be set up right here. So no bottom middle gasket, but you can do whatever you want. That's the board. Thank you, Canon Keys, for sending it out to me. Thank you, AKB, for letting me build it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. But yeah, that's the board. I don't even know how to ask it. Basically, when you're on the and you're, do you ever onto your turn on this tree? This was something that was on Instagram. Okay, that's all I needed to know. I'm not just thinking about, oh god, when guys I wonder if ever. No, I'm not just randomly thinking that, okay? It was a reel that I was watching. I was like, huh? Interloper, if you're watching this, don't you dare put this in the VOD. This is not sponsor video appropriate. I swear I wasn't just thinking about this, okay?